Can you hear me now? Perfect. Perfect. Wow, great to see you guys here. Thank you for joining. So today we're going to talk about life scripting and how it can help you to heal fast. So if you are not familiar with life scripting, it's a modality which focuses on holistic health and manifestation. When I use the word holistic health, I mean we want to focus on the breath, the energy, our intuitive abilities, and the words that we think and speak. So these four aspects create a holistic point of view on healing ourselves. Although the word healing has been used a lot, I sometimes like to push it aside because it makes us think that there's something wrong with us and we really need to fix it. So I think for a better word, today I want to use the word evolving. Okay, so we are using life scripting as a technique, as a modality to evolve faster as human beings. So what makes life scripting different from other modalities? Is it better or worse? Definitely not. It's not about a comparison. It's just a style that some people are connected to. Some people that I know have, even including myself, who have done different techniques and modalities, they find life scripting to be the cherry at the top kind of experience. Like, great, this makes it complete for me in a way right now. Let me give you a little bit of a background, how it works. So each one of us, we have different tendencies on how we want to expand our awareness, expand our consciousness. And the most common word that we use or we hear is to heal ourselves from negative thinking or from negative patterns or from habits that we're not happy about, or we feel stuck, or things are not moving, or we're questioning, why is this happening? Why isn't that happening, right? Life scripting opens up the possibility for you to release yourself, first of all, from the judgment that you think that there is something wrong with you, and the judgment that you have added on top of the original core belief systems that you have. So for example, if someone has a belief of, I am not loved, okay, there is something wrong with me, I'm not loved, whether they're aware of it or not, let's consider that they're already aware of it, yeah? So for them to be aware of that and then get frustrated that, why am I not loved? Why is this happening to me? What's wrong with me? This adds another level of judgment on top, which makes it even more difficult to get rid of the core issue that we have. So I just want you to think about the belief that you already know about yourself. A statement. Think about a statement that you already know or you could come up with right now. And just think as well, with that belief, how much you feel frustrated with it. If you are at peace with it, then that's beautiful. I congratulate you. If you've already found that peace, that you're okay with it, you're accepting it, and through your acceptance, you're moving forward. That's a beautiful thing, and that's what we need to accomplish. In life scripting, when you do a breathwork session, you end up expanding your consciousness by the simple act of circular breathing or the simple act of connecting the inhale to the exhale. Again, for a few seconds, just focus on your breath. Are you really breathing right now? Of course you are, that's why you're alive. But are you conscious of it? Is it expanded? Are your lungs expanding? Is your belly expanding? Or it's so subtle? That subtleness, we end up calling it as subventilating because it has become inhibited with emotions, inhibited with energy. that is not something that would make you feel healthy, happy, and alive. In NLP, what they do is they tell people to focus on their body language, to have a look at how they look, how they're walking. So if you just allowed yourself to expand your shoulders right now and to sit more with your spine comfortably straight, even I'm doing that right now, you would notice your breathing mechanism will start to shift, because you will feel like you're not collapsing on your lungs. So you're trying to feel more proud of yourself, more confident in yourself, and expand your breath. So can breathing really heal us fast? Yes. It's a super fast and a very innate way of healing ourselves. Innate means it's within us. We're born with it. Other things that we end up talking about, it's more the analysis through the intuitive information or through a left brain analysis, psychological process. We end up creating a process. But breath itself has the innate ability to balance our body, to balance our energy fields, which means the chakras, and to balance the mind as well. So in order for the person not to go into a repetitive loop of unhealthy thinking. So I'm going to introduce to you, if you're new to this, to the concept of 20 connected breathwork. And I invite you to experience this for a period of 1 month, doing it 5 to 6 times a day. You will start to notice that there is a shift. You might notice subtle shifts or huge shifts. There will be an openness in your mind of your own attitude, of your own reactions, of your own thoughts. And when you open up your mind in seeing how you think and how you feel and how you react, you could take a step back. It adds that beauty into it, where it gives you this sense of, let's step back for a minute and see, am I acting, thinking, feeling right? That would resonate with my highest best. So the breath work is this. It's called 20 connected breaths because we are going to be breathing 20 breaths. So if you did it 5 times a day, you have done 100 conscious breaths a day. If you've done it 6, you've done 120. You can hold your fingers, your hand. It will make it easier for you. 4 fast breaths going through the nose only. Don't mix it with the mouth. So you would go into, and the 5th one is long. Now I paused in between just to show you the difference, but the actual way is, okay, so this is 5 breaths. Doing it 4 times will equal to 20 breaths, right? So I'm going to do a full 20 breaths. Look at, if you already know it, go along with me. 1, 2, 3. That's 20 breaths. If you felt dizzy, if you felt lightheaded, that's a great sign to indicate that your body was subventilating and you just increase your oxygen intake. If you notice, the focus is on the inhale, not on the exhale. The exhale happens naturally. Just let go of the exhale. Can something as short, fast, and simple as this actually shift our mindset? Of course. But the problem lies in the consistency. When we are not consistent in something as simple, and we're still looking for more complex ways of changing our life. I love this analogy where I heard it once from a teacher, where he was saying that imagine a bucket, and every day you're throwing in just one tiny stone. After a while, you'll notice the bucket is completely full and you cannot really carry it. So that tiny pebble that it was so easy for you to carry, it was effortless, it led into a very heavy, a bucket full of pebbles. So what does that really mean? That tiny thing is our simple daily practice. And by having that simple daily practice, it then reaches to a very obvious result at some point. So in life scripting, we are focusing on the concept of conscious connected breathing, which was originally stemmed from Leonard Orr, who is the founder of rebirthing breathwork. And he's the one who spread the concept of breathing in the Western world. And by keeping the inhale to the exhale continuously connected, I'm doing this hand movement because this is exactly what happens to the breath when you're doing a conscious connected breathing. There is no pause, and it naturally creates this flow. And if you're familiar with energy centers or chakras, we do not only have the chakras in front of the body, we also have them at the back of the body, right? So imagine the spine. The energy center's roots are on the spine, okay? Stemming from the front, rotating, and stemming from the back and rotating. So when you are, so imagining that my hand is the spine, when you are doing the breath, you're creating the energy to flow. And when the energy is flowing, it starts to create a circular movement. You'll have moments that it will go really fast and moments that it will go really slow. What is the significance of that? There would be blocks in the energy field that needs to be pushed out so that the person will start to feel that lightness. Those blocks can also be physical, that means in your personal physical organs. So with the breath, you're actually pushing it out of your cells, what has been trapped for years and years and years. So the question now is, can it heal chronic illnesses? Yes, it can. Why? Because you are increasing two things in your body that has been suppressed and inhibited. One is the energy field, and the other one is your oxygen rate. We're not against CO2. CO2 is not something bad. It is important. But when we end up balancing the oxygen and the CO2 in the system, which is in this very simple breathwork practice, you end up feeling lighter, physically lighter, and energetically lighter. And this automatically leads you to a different state of consciousness. It leads you into a different understanding about yourself. You would be like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I understand. And you end up receiving information more and more. Originally, and still in many parts of the world, pure breathwork practitioners, they end up doing a session for about an hour, full on breathing nonstop. I still do that sometimes. But in life scripting, we have a variety of that. We have a fast version, which is not that the facilitator is pushing the person to go fast. The energy in itself, the uniqueness of the technique of life scripting accelerates the process. So the person can achieve the same result in about 20 minutes. This is, of course, if they were breathing in 20 minutes. You might think that, is that going to be something difficult? It's just 20-minute breathing. It can be difficult if the person has resistance or if their emotional body, so the aura is layers, emotional, mental, physical body. If the emotional body is very dense and it has been muddy, let's use that word, has been muddy for a while, and when the person's breathing is like, oh, I can't take this anymore, it's too much, I don't want to. That's an indication where the person has some level of resistance, and for them to push through that barrier, it's quite painful. So the facilitator's role or the life scripter's role is to make sure that the person can feel safe and relaxed. Can you do this by yourself? Not initially, but by doing a set of 10 to 15 sessions purely on this, you would be able to understand the mechanics of it so that you do not resist in your own personal process, or you do not pause or stop in your own personal process. So in one part of life scripting, it's the breath. That's the fundamental part. And today I introduced you to the nose breathing of 20 connected breaths. I want to add another one that you can use. I would say start the first week with the nose breathing 5 to 6 times a day. You don't need to accelerate it more than that. And really exaggerate the inhale. Because remember, it's like a muscle, right? So if you exaggerate your inhale by going, you've just opened up a part of you that was closed or inhibited for a while. So exaggerate it and do it for 5 to 6 times a day. Don't increase that. The second set of 20 connected breaths, in order for you to accelerate your process, is through the mouth breathing. The mouth breathing has a lot of controversial discussion around it, because some people say, oh, it can let the person hyperventilate, etc., etc. It's important that you understand that if a person is hyperventilating, it's because they were subventilating. You can't hyperventilate if you have subventilated. Which means if the majority of humanity have not practiced breath work early on, then obviously they're subventilating, right? And when they start into going into this deep state of breath work, they will suddenly go into a hyperventilation, which is considered something super negative. But in reality, it is the trigger that happens. The person's mind is expanding. The cells are being filled up with so much oxygen, and the energy is pushing out all that muddy energy. At the end of the day, it's important that the person does this with the mindset of understanding this is meant to heal me because my breath heals. If the person goes into a process worrying and having fear, then it's better to stay away from it until they've shifted their mindset. Because they're just adding another layer of judgment towards themselves, like we talked about earlier. So the mouth breathing is, again, all of this breath work that you do, please do it when you're sitting down or lying down. The mouth breathing is 4 fast breaths, 5th one is long, again, but only through the mouth. Imagine that you're inhaling through a straw. So you go with the inhale, and the exhale is, so the mouth opens. So I'm going to do a very slow version of this. You can do it in this slow version as well. Let's do it together. 20 breaths only through the mouth. 1, 2, 3. That was 20 breaths through the mouth. Raise your hand if you felt dizzy. Going through the people's names. You can use the reaction button like this if you want. Yeah. Completely natural, nothing to be afraid of. It's your body just said like, whoa, what was that? We haven't been breathing like this before. We had that much oxygen. We didn't know that. So your body is going into that new awareness, right? And as human beings, we don't like change, unfortunately, drastic changes at least. So when you are doing the breathwork practice, remind yourself that you are teaching yourself to breathe again. You can do any pranayama. I want you to understand the difference of pranayama and conscious connected breathing. In pranayama, there is the concept of sustaining the breath, holding the breath. There is that beauty in it. So in conscious connected breathing, we don't have the pausing, the stopping. We are creating an energetic circuit through the breath. And if you do yawn after a breathing session, because that's just an opening, your energy bodies are opening. So if you wanted to make yourself a schedule of breath work, 1 week nose, then another week with the mouth, another week with the nose, another week with the mouth. Go on like that for a month. Your body will start to get used to it. And then when you decide on one day to have an actual conscious connected breathwork session, it won't be that shocking to your system, and you would enjoy the actual breathing mechanism. Okay, enough about breath. Breath is one principle of life scripting. The second principle is energy. It would be very limiting at this age and at this time that we're living on planet Earth to not be aware that energy plays a huge role in our lives, and that energy is the essence of us. So if our energy is a certain state, the reaction, the result of the physical body, the mindset is going to be that. It always stems from the energy field. What affects the energy, what manipulates it, see, they're very much hand in hand. It's the thoughts, it's the beliefs that we have. Some beliefs have been present in humanity for hundreds of years. So if you are expecting to change a very anchored and strong belief that has been in humanity's system for hundreds of years in one session, you are putting yourself in a very disappointing situation. And I'm going to give you an example of what do I mean by a very old belief that is in humanity. Things like life is unfair. Things like life is difficult. Things like money is not easy to make. Or you need to really work hard to be prosperous. Or we definitely are going to get sick at some point. We're definitely going to die. So I'm going into very more concrete beliefs, right? So to come to someone and tell them, well, this is just a belief, we can change that, there will be a shock to the identity. It will be a shock to the system. Because this person, this person's parents, this person's ancestors, this person's society, this person's cultural background, this person's country maybe even, has believed in this. And it will really need the person to have a set of the possibility of an open mind to say, yeah, that could happen, you know, let's give it a try. And there are then our individual personal beliefs that we have, which has created our name, our identity, how people perceive us, how society perceives us, how our parents, how our loved ones perceive us, how our children perceive us. And if the person discovered that, you know, in my characteristic, in my personality trait, there is something that is really not healthy for me because this is giving me physical discomfort. Unfortunately, most of the time it needs to reach to the physical so that we wake up. So for example, worst case scenario, someone has a heart attack, okay? They get a wake-up call. They're like, oh, okay, I need to check my diet. I need to exercise. These are still very physical. And if the person went a step beyond, they would go, okay, I need to be aware of my thoughts. I need to meditate, I need to clean my energy. What this person might have not been taught or been aware of is that their solar plexus, which is the stomach area energy field, has been so filled with muddy energy that at some point, the physical heart, which is right above it, hasn't been able to function anymore, which is like, that's when the heart attack affects. Of course, again, if the person is ready or is aware that energy exists. If the person is not there, then they will still go on with the idea of, I need the physical medication, I need the physical food only. That's what's going to really help me. So, or a person could have the pattern of being super sensitive to people, picking up people's energies, picking up people's uncomfortable behavior, or let's use the word negative behavior. If that person continuously believes that, they will reach to a point where they'll get super ill and they'll say, see, I never wanted to harm anyone, but this is what the people did to me. I took on so much shit from them. Was it wrong of what they're saying? No, they're not wrong. It's true what they're saying. But we're going back to the core. Why would a person allow themselves to feel that way? Why would a person give themselves that opportunity? And it's not a judgment if they have gone through that experience. They have might as well needed that experience. But if they want to know and if they are ready to learn, we could deviate the path. And we could help the person to realize that you have a belief which is holding you back, which is taking away your personal power, which is activating within you a belief of victimhood. And that is going on in the background of your mind, which is leading you to attract these people in your reality that is affecting you to be uncomfortable. And as a result, to be unhealthy. So we are complex beings, obviously, because we have so many thoughts, and each one of us, we have our own unique thoughts. What we do in life scripting is, if you have done level 1, then in level 1, you would know that you will be having to ask the person a set of 6 questions. Very simple, very straightforward 6 questions. And based on these 6 questions, we can understand the person's mindset currently where they are, what beliefs they believe they have. And we take that, and from an energetic point of view, we deactivate and activate that. Now that's where your left brain might not absorb what I'm saying. This is more on a very clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient experience. It's more intuitive. There is the quantum physics explanation for that, which will give you more of an understanding of how this can happen. And I'm going to go to that when I reach to the power of words. What we are doing is, the person's energy field, just imagine it this way. You are in a bowl of energy, and let's consider that this bowl is not light, it's filled with words. Okay, imagine there are words everywhere. So if someone put on the glasses to see your actual aura, they would see words everywhere. Words, statements. And because we have, according to scientists, we have about 75,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day, they have also discovered that we have repetitive thoughts. So it's not like we have 75 completely brand new thoughts every single day. If we did, we would be geniuses. And that means we are not being attached to a certain thought anymore. We would have a thought and we would let it go. We will have a thought, we will let it go. We will have a thought and we'll let it go. So most of those thoughts are very much anchored in our energy field, in our aura. They're anchored in the whole aura. They're anchored in the chakras. They're anchored in the mini chakras of the organs. And they're obviously also affecting the meridian system. So when we are doing energy work in life scripting, we are commanding for that energy to be vanished, to be out of the system. Remember how I said at the beginning where, depending on how deeply rooted the belief is, if it's something that has been there for hundreds of years, snapping it out like that, out of the person's system for the very first time, could be a lesser possibility. I'm not going to say impossible, because everything is possible. So it could be a lesser possibility for that to happen. But what we're doing is, we're plucking as much as we can, and as much as the person is ready to let go of, as much as the person wants to feel free from that. The next time we will pluck it a bit more. The next time we'll pluck it a bit more until the person reaches to a point that I don't want this. I don't agree with this thought anymore. I don't want to be a victim anymore. It doesn't make sense to me. And their attitude, their speech, their body language, their mindset, their choices of likes and dislikes start to change. So what I like is, I like to let people notice the change. So if you've received a session with me, you always get an email back. Unless you've done so many sessions, you know the trick, you know the protocol. I like people to evaluate themselves from 0 to 10. And this is something that I've learned from one of my teachers who I would say maybe invented the concept of sacred activations, which is what life scripting is, again, learning from activation-wise. And that is basically measuring yourself from 0 to 10 every day. Understanding yourself. Do I still feel like a victim? We're taking that as an example. 0 to 10. 0, I don't. 10, I feel a lot. I know they use this in tapping, in EFT, but that happens immediately when they're doing that. That's quite fascinating. So because we're going into deeper layers of someone's consciousness, the process can take some time. It can take days, weeks, or months. So what we are doing in energy work, in the energy field of life scripting, is all verbal command. That's why it's considered an advanced form. Why is it advanced? Because the first way that we were introduced to energy, and I know that many of you might have already, is through working through the hands. The power of the energy centers of the hands, which we're passing through the energy from our crown towards our arms and towards the hands and giving it to the other person. In life scripting, you're not doing that. And this is one fundamental difference. You're allowing them to receive the energy, not from the facilitator, but from their own higher self. And that's what you learn in life scripting, to know how to command and bring that energy, which means you're purely getting the energy from your actual highest form and purest self. And this way, the facilitator is not having any level of unhealthy influence on the person. Because, you know, if you are going to be directing energy from yourself, you really need to be very attentive. You need to continuously cleanse yourself, which doesn't mean that you shouldn't, but there is a higher stake in that, because you're transferring energy from yourself to the other person. Now, of course, even when you are channeling energy through you, you are being simultaneously cleansed. So you are passing through energy to someone else. But in order not to have that energetic exchange and to let the person bring from their actual higher self, from God's energy, then you are an observer. You will not be meddled in their energy field much. This is a little bit about the energy part. Intuition. You can learn a protocol of doing any kind of healing, any kind of coaching, but if you do not incorporate your intuition, your process will be limited, because you will only be functioning at the level of your mental knowledge that you have. And that is why you could reach to a point as a plateau where your client will not be able to benefit from you anymore. Now, that can also happen even if you are intuitive or not, because maybe your work together has finished, or the person needs to go on a different journey with someone else. That is also possible. But for your own personal self, if you are already a practitioner of anything, of any modality, please incorporate your own intuition. Do not use others as guinea pigs unless you have asked them to, but do use yourself and expand your own knowledge by yourself. So if you've learned the modality and they've told you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, follow it, but also see if there's anything else you're feeling regarding it, regarding the duration of the process that you need to do. the intervals of something that you need to do, or this is going a little bit beyond the topic, based on the modality, do you want to incorporate archangels and spirit guides? Now, this comes again with the belief system, and if you agree or you don't agree, you believe in it, or if you don't, that's a completely different topic. But if you do, then you are adding a different energy field and a different level of awareness, which is obviously higher, to your own technique, so that you can get much better results. And the person will be like, how did you know? How did you know? And you end up noticing that you are gaining your intuition. I always get asked, how can I activate my intuition? I just posted a 2-step technique on my Instagram page just yesterday or 2 days ago. One of them I always say is you need to cleanse your energy body continuously, because this channel needs to be open and ready. However you do it is completely up to you, whether through breath work, whether through Reiki, whether through pranic healing, whether through access consciousness bars, EFT, whatever it is, whatever that is close to your heart, whether it's just mindful meditation, observing, you need to keep the energy clean. And if you are someone who meditates, give yourself 2 minutes after your meditation practice to ask a question, and just be silent to receive the message. It's important that you do not fixate on one way of receiving messages. Your messages could come through as a thought, so write it down. Your messages could come through an image, Google it up, if it's an image you're not aware of. I sometimes get clients sending me pictures of things like saying, I just saw this in my vision, and then I Googled it, and this is what it actually means. So you see, it shows that it's not their left brain functioning. You could get a message from someone else. Now, that 2 minutes afterwards, if you did not get anything by you being with yourself, then just keep that question open. And then allow your day every now and then to observe. You could get the message coming through you. So it's very important to be attentive when you have asked the question. Yes, sometimes answers could take days, and sometimes it could take minutes. You can't judge or frustrate yourself. It doesn't mean that you're not good at it. It's just a layer. It's like a school. So you're in grade 1 of intuitive practice. You're grade 2 in intuitive practice. You can't go into 10th grade and judge someone who's in 1st grade. It's like then you're going into superiority and inferiority complex. It doesn't make sense. So give yourself that 2 minutes, 3 minutes, when you've finished with your meditation, again, whatever you've practiced, guided meditation by yourself, add that 2 minutes afterwards. You have a question. You say, for example, what do you want to tell me about my liver? So if it's a physical question, what do you want to tell me about this particular person? Give the person's full name, complete full name. If you don't know the person's full name, you need to be more descriptive by saying, this person where I met at this place at this time, so that the energy channels will direct you towards that person's field. Okay? If it's a yes/no question, I love yes/no questions, but that can be sometimes tricky. With the yes/no questions, start by asking yourself, show me a sign if this is good for me. Rather than saying yes and no, show me a sign that this is good for me. And based on that, you will get an information regarding it. Either someone will mention that word to you, you will read it somewhere, or you will hear it, it's good, it's good, it's good, go and do it. You'll end up discovering different intuitive parts of you. So in life scripting level 1, I particularly focus on introducing people to their archangels and ascended masters, to have a group of invisible helpers. Again, if you are not into that, then you don't need to do that part of it. But it's quite fascinating of how people end up in my courses. They end up noticing the difference of one ascended master to another. They would feel something very particularly about that person. And they will end up, and when we are saying the name of that person later on, they'll be like, wow, I felt the same thing about that person. I'm not telling you how I do it, but what I mean is it's completely anonymous. The process is very anonymous. So it's not like I'm mentioning, okay, now tell me what you think about Archangel Raphael. That's very linear left brain technique. Of course, your mind might come up with information that you already know about Raphael, or you might have never heard it. Say, I don't know, I don't care. So it's very important to make it anonymous so that the person's left brain is not active. Pendulum works if you practiced it well. It's very interesting. I have a few pendulums, but it's been years I don't practice them anymore. If you are drawn to pendulums, please do. I would also add yes, no, and not yet in your questions if you're using a pendulum. So get a part of yes, get a part of no, pieces of paper, and then another piece of paper, write not yet, and just put them face down, don't know where they are, and see what the pendulum does, clockwise, anti-clockwise, whatever you programmed it for. Hi, Hannah. So the Ascended Masters, there are so many of them. I'll just mention a few for now. One of them is Kuan Yin. The other one, let me know if you've heard of these names before. You also have Babaji, Mahavatar Babaji. So I'm telling you from different parts. You have Saint Germain. You have someone like Mother Mary, is considered an Ascended Master. You have someone like Kutumi. So I'm giving you from different religious backgrounds what people know about them. And Buddha is considered an Ascended Master as well. Basically, the way it has been defined for Ascended Masters, this is a definition for them, that they have walked on earth, but they've mastered themselves. And they've mastered the energy. And so their role now is no longer the roles that we really want. Oh, I want to get that job. Oh, I want to make money. Oh, I want to be with this person. They've been there, done that, lifetimes. They've reached to a level of enlightenment, as you would say. And their role is now to assist us for us to reach to that level of consciousness. Again, without pushing, without interfering with our free will. And each one of us have a certain group of Ascended Masters that we can communicate with. Why would they be particular to that? There are so many reasons for it. One could be a complete soul contract. That means, hey, I'm going to be born as Maria. You're going to help me for this, okay? But when I remember you, you're not allowed to interfere until I tell you, because they respect our free will. And sometimes along your journey, you end up leaning toward different Ascended Masters because of their energy, because of the purpose that they give. And sometimes you will always have that one or two particular Ascended Master that is continuously with you, and you feel very much connected to ask for help. Along with them, you have the archangels, which are again considered beings of light. Let me see, do they all appear or you have to be chosen by them? That's a very interesting question. The idea of you have to be chosen by them. I've heard this a lot, and I've heard many teachers tell me that as well, like for my own personal Ascended Masters. They have told me that they have chosen me, but if I want to see it from a perspective of unconditional love and free will, I would say that it's a mutual choice. It's a mutual contract. that both my higher self or your higher self has chosen, and they have chosen to work with you. It's like a deal. You're like, hey, do you want to be my partner in this life? Yes. Okay, great. I'll give you a call when I ascend a little bit. So some of them, at least I'll tell you from my experience, some of them have appeared without me thinking or knowing about them. Many of my experiences originally came from my breathwork experiences. So I would end up defining different ascended masters, which I never knew about. And then suddenly I would hear that, oh, okay, this ascended master exists. Okay, so this is now we are now tuning together. Our vibration is tuning now together so we can communicate. As a soul family, there are ripple effects of soul families. So that is why I said you could have a soul family, and then when you expand, you go to a different scale of that. That is why your ascended master, let's say, cooperation can also start to change. Again, we are human beings, right? So we are very linear, but once the intuition is open, we end up expanding, and time and space starts to no longer exist or make sense. Finally, talking about the words, the power of words. These days, I've noticed how much I've become even more and more aware of how words are affecting our lives from what's been out in the media. It's like continuous subconscious programming taking place. And unfortunately, everything that is out there, well, not everything, but the majority of things that is very much dominant is all to do with fear, all to do with suppressing, all to do with activating within us unease and discomfort and chaos. And I think if you ever want to question if the power of words are necessary or not, the simplest thing you can do is just watch the media. You can watch it, you can read it, you can hear it, whatever you want to do. You can look at signs everywhere. And you can see how after a while you end up acting, thinking, feeling according to what's been there. Just like the pebble story that I said, if I'm continuously watching and hearing something, I'm hearing words over and over again, then just like the pebble effect, at some point, I'll realize that that's what my thought only thinks about. And because my thoughts affect my emotions, I'm going to feel a certain way. And if my emotions are not of love and ease, when I use the word love, in my mind, I mean the unconditional love, not the conditioned one. If I'm not in that love and ease, then at some point I'm going to be a burden on my actual physical body. And I'm going to create a discomfort in my physical body. And you know what's going to come next. So be aware of what jokes you make. Be aware of proverbs that you know that you use. I'm going to give an example. In Armenian, so I'm Armenian. In Armenian, we have a phrase that we say, if I don't want to do something and I'm bored or I'm tired or I feel lazy, I would say, I don't have a heart. That's the sentence we would say, literally. And it was like a couple of years ago where I realized, I said, oh my God, why am I saying that? Like, I can just say, I don't want to do it, right? Or I am busy, if that's really the reason, right? At least I'm not adding the energy of that sentence in my consciousness. People say, yeah, what's going to happen? But think about the pebble. The more you say it, the more it turns into an emotion, and it turns into a density, which is what will affect your physical body. And after all, as human beings, we want our physical bodies to be healthy and strong, right? So that we can do whatever we want to do in our lives. We can't work properly if our physical body's not well. We can't make money if our physical body's not well. We can't be in a relationship if we're not always feeling sluggish. So if that density is getting affected, then we need to go back to the origin and see what are the words that we are using. So give yourself this opportunity today, if you've never done this before. Just take a piece of paper and a pen and just start writing. Whatever comes to your mind right now, like not right now, but when you do it, don't prepare for it. Don't create an altar for it. Don't sage yourself to do it. Just literally take a paper and a pen and start writing. Marie, what am I thinking? I don't know. Oh, I have to do the laundry. Oh no, God, I have to take the laundry out. Oh, I have to take the dog out. You'll start to notice and hear all the noise that's there. And if you dedicated your time daily for 5 to 10 minutes just to do that, you see, it's a very open experience. You will start to realize what is it that's really holding you back in life. And when you see them in front of you as words, remember, writing is slower than thinking, right? So you have to slow yourself down at some point. Automatically, that creates a sense of being in the now moment. And because you don't need to show this to anyone, remember, you're not showing this to anyone, so you don't need to censor anything. Even if you're cursing half of the time, you are at least being so honest with yourself, and you're like, wow, I didn't know I had all of these thoughts in me right now. That is already awareness. That is already being mindful. So I hope that today's 4 principles of life scripting has given you some opportunity for you to practice something within yourselves as much as you can. And if you really want to expand it, you can take the course with me if you like, which we have on the 26th and on the 27th. We still have 2 particular spots left for 25% off. And you can contact Illuminations for it. You can contact Ed. He's amazing. He'll reply immediately to you and he'll make things work for you. This month, I'm super excited that we're going to be doing it at Illuminations, but we'll only have 6 people on site because of the social distancing rules. So whoever still goes on, if we have more than 6, of course, when you register, you will know if you will be, you have to say if you want to be on site or online, because I'll be doing it online simultaneously. So I'll be having the computer with me because we will have other people from abroad, and I'll have the other 6 in front of me. A brief structure of it, of course, you're more than welcome, I'll explain it, is we're dividing it into 2 days. The first day, which is a Friday on the 26th, we will be focusing on, in level 1, which I didn't focus on the concept of level 1 today, we learn the Akashic records. We learn how to connect to the Akashic records. If you need more information on that, you can book a 20-minute free session with me and I'll tell you what it is. Or you can just Google what Akashic records is. So we connect to the Akashic field, you focus on the Akashic field. The first day you experience energetically connecting to that, receiving healing there, and we focus on the energy part, the energy principle, and the words principle on day 1. So we're doing 3 things on day 1. Learning how to access Akashic records, to connect with our higher self, to increase the healing process, to do energy work, focusing on the beliefs, and at the same time, focusing on the words, learning how to use the words. The second day, we're continuing with the breath, having an idea, an experience of a 20-minute experience or 30-minute experience of breath work. We're just scratching the surface of the breath. And then we are focusing on the intuition, where we will understand who our invisible team of helpers are and using them within our session so that we can expand. Now on Saturday, I have a webinar as well, a free webinar with the amazing life scripters who've already taken the course before. And they're going to be conducting 15-minute sessions for everyone who's online. So you'll be in breakout rooms and you'll experience that. So you're more than welcome to join. You just need to go to my Instagram page, I am Maria Leonard, and you'll see the link in bio. And over there, this Saturday.
Okay.
Okay. And you will be able to experience from them what they have to say as well about the experience. And you'll have a glimpse of it if you haven't. Breathwork, just like energy, how is handled online, breathwork is handled online because I will be observing the person. The person needs to have their camera, their mic on, and I need to see them from their chest above in order for me to guide them to learn how to do it. So again, if it's in your belief system that online is not convenient for you, you're more than welcome to be the on-site person. If you don't live here, you're open to experience, because I give online breathwork sessions since I can remember, especially in the last 3 months where many things have been online. It's just being open, aware, and for physically for the person, for me to see and to guide them more deeply, is I need to see them from their chest above. And I'll be handling the breath. And remember, because it's energy, I would be able to see what's happening with the energy field, even if I'm not physically there. It's very interesting, and I believe one of the things that has been going on in the last couple of months, which I've seen a huge shift with people, which is beautiful, especially in this region, because in the West, in the UK, in the USA, there have been for years online sessions being conducted already, which is breathwork, which is energy, which is EFT, whatever it may be. There is always the beauty of the human interaction. We're not negating that, but the impact is always there because we are the ones of what we allow and what we don't allow from the session to happen. You can have someone standing right next to you and you won't give them a glimpse of your trust and you won't have a proper experience. Someone could be miles away from you, and with your trust, you'll be able to have a phenomenal experience. So I will let you make that decision. You can research, and you can also go within to question if this is something that you would like to experience. So if you are interested, for the course, it's 26th and 27th of this month. You will be certified, but after when you have given me 10 reports, and there's a written assessment that needs to be done. Those 10 reports are basically, you can take your time as much as you like, but of course, the sooner the better. Those 10 reports will be your practices. You can choose to have them as paid or free practice. That's between you and you. And of course, please do tell the person that you're practicing on that you are practicing. And I will have a look at that, and I'll see how much you have actually absorbed the knowledge, and what questions you have. I do have a monthly, we haven't done it for 2 months now, but we've been doing monthly group gatherings, either via Zoom or at the center at Illuminations, so that you can get some support. There is a Facebook private group for life scripters, so if you have any questions, you can ask yourself any questions there. It is very normal to feel sleepy after deep breathing because, one, you're having a sense of relaxation, and second, all that muddy and burdened energy that was holding you down is being lifted off. Now, the question is, if it's a conscious connected breathing, I'm not talking about other breathwork practices. If it's conscious connected breathing, there is a tendency for the mind to resist. So the person will fall asleep. I never forget this one experience I had with a client who I had to make that person stand up in the session and breathe because they were falling asleep. Even while I made them stand up, they were still asleep. I had to hold them like this in my arms. This is the level of resistance they had. They were breathing, but they were like, and they would go like that. And they would go, I'd say, breathe again. And this was like, how many years ago? It was 5 years ago. And that lasted a really long time. It was like an hour and a half until the person was able to at least do continuous breath for 10 minutes. That's how much they were able to do in their first session. So breathing is simple, yes, but remember, the breath is connected to the mind. Whatever your mind is made up with, it's going to be shown in your breath. You can know a person, once you're trained, you can know a person's subconscious mind just by observing their breath. If they have fear, if they have anger, if they have resistance, if they have frustration. That is why I'm saying, for logical reasons, I would ask the person to have their camera on. But if the person is okay intuitively, I don't even need the camera on. I would know that what's happening with them emotionally. It comes from experience, it comes from practice, it comes from intuitive abilities as well. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope I can see you on Saturday as well. If you want to have a full life scripting experience, tomorrow I have a session, 2 hours workshop. Again, I'll be doing it online and on-site simultaneously. If you're in Dubai, we have 5 spaces left. We have 1 person on site for tomorrow. The rest are online. You can come to the center. It's going to be from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Okay? So there is the link at the Illuminations page. If you go to their website, you will see the event for tomorrow. It's called Rescript Your Life, and we're focusing on our DNA tomorrow. Yes, it is a group session. Tomorrow is a full group session happening via Zoom and on-site for 6 people only, simultaneously. Okay? Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful evening and a great weekend, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.